After my first 50 hours in Throne and Liberty, I've made a list of 40 tips and tricks for beginners. I think it's gonna be helpful if you're just starting out, but even if you already knew some of the things, others may surprise you. And so let's jump in. When you're crafting anything, if you're missing some materials, you can check the 2 icon next to the missing material, and this will show you if you can craft more of it, and you can go directly to the crafting of this material without having to manually search for it. Don't open these material selection chests if you don't need to. You can stack as many of them as you want and only open whenever you're missing some materials. When you're upgrading your gear, don't rush maxing one item. It's much more efficient at first to upgrade them all by little, since material requirement has huge diminishing returns. What I mean is that you need more materials to upgrade one item to +6 than 3 items to +3, for example, while the benefit is almost the same. It's just gonna save you a bit of time. For skills, the same rule applies, but even more, since some of your skills have much more higher value than others. Also prioritize the skills you'll be using for your build. You don't need to level them all. I still have green skills, and since I don't use them, no need to level up. For this one, you need to refer to the build, but the general rule here is to always level up 2 of your main stats to 30, since you get additional bonus. Beyond 30 you need 2 points per level, so it's not worth it. You're better off getting those points from items. Diminishing returns as usual. Make sure to transfer your gear when it's maxed. It may seem that it costs a lot of Solent, but it's worth it. Also, you can level up the new item a bit first and then transfer for the same reason, diminishing returns. The first few levels of the item are very cheap, and specifically for purple gear, you can level up to 7.3 before you transfer your blue item +9.
You can make your weapons even more powerful.
This one is quick and it may be obvious to some, but still let me say it. You have 2 weapons equipped all time, but the mastery benefit is applied only when you switch to the weapon. That applies also when you auto switch to weapon while using a skill related to that weapon. And since we're talking about mastery, the leveling works the same way like old school RPG. You level up a level you're currently using, just like Skyrim for instance. And now I have the non-popular approach when it comes to leveling. You hear many people telling you to test out different weapons and builds and to use skills and mastery conversion. But I believe the design of the game is different because you start only with 2 character slots. To me, this is indication that this is not alt friendly game, but rather one character to rule them all. So my advice is to play with one build, and if you decide to change it completely, just do it, but don't convert your progress to new build. Now it may be a bit slower, but you'll be going back and forth wasting materials. And at some point you'll be glad you listened to my advice because you have multiple class roles on one character, which gives you more versatility for any content. And don't tell me that you'll be behind others and need to rush because it's a game and it's for fun. It's not a race, and if you feel like it's a race, well, this is why we have the problems in MMOs these days. People are just becoming ill with fear of missing out. If the game is good, there will always be new people coming. If the game is bad, it will die soon anyway, so why bother rushing in the first place? You're welcome. When you swap gear sets, maybe you just need a different weapon. Well, too bad, because everything is automatically unequipped and you can't reuse the same item for multiple presets. So you need a whole new set of items even if they're mostly the same. Stack Blessing and use it only when you reach 100% for trait upgrade to make sure you don't waste it. Don't forget to buy your daily or weekly limit of items you want at the contract coin merchant. This goes for any merchant really. When you have a bit more Abyssal tokens, make sure to farm some of them in the open dungeon. You have a limit of 20,000 and beyond that is wasted. Use Ornate coins wisely, they are somewhat limited. Usually buy Enchanted Ink, Trade Extraction Stone and Purple Growth Stones. You obtain Ornate coins by collecting mysterious notes, and also you can get bonus from the devs through the mail sometimes. If you can select diminishing soul shards as a reward, keep it, and open it whenever you need specific one of those, since you may not be farming each of the dungeons equally, but the crafting usually needs equal number of each. At your weekly mission rewards, you can reveal different items, but can choose only one. If you don't need the items, you can just pick the replacement, which is Trade Conversion Stone. You'll need a lot of it later, so may as well just stack them. You can get 10 contracts per day, you can stack them all the way to 60, and do them all at once if you're feeling grindy, just remember not to exceed them. For the lithograph collection, you can craft some of the items to get one-time reward, just make sure you don't put items you need. In your storage, you can click the plus icon on the bottom right corner, and for some Solant you increase your storage space, but every time it's gonna be more expensive. The same applies for inventory, but it will also cost Lucent at some point. You can easily modify most of the interface panel, including the size of it, the way you want. Most important info should be close to your eyesight, but not too much to cover the actual scene. The cursor appearing always after NPC interaction is frustrating. If you use this option, retain cursor while holding down, you only need to press once to hide it instead of twice. Until it gets fixed, of course. For any items you don't need at all, don't sell them to merchant for Solant. It's better to dissolve them and get some materials you need later. Whenever you're in mass PvP, you should set target selection method to search by order of priority for hostile players, field players, and hostile guilds. Also check auto target nearest enemies when attacking without a target. It makes your life easier. Also auto target with mouse over when attacking without a target, which is basically wherever your cursor is. Join a guild. I mean definitely join a guild. I was gonna promote my guild here, but after a few weeks the recruitment seems to be slacking, so yeah. Just find an active guild and play together. When you're cooking, you may be missing some ingredients. On the side you can see if there's something else to use instead. Also you can click on how to acquire icon, which will show you every method available to obtain certain materials. And if you click on it, it will show you the exact location. Early on you may want to cook Castler's Salad, which will give you 50% XP bonus for killing monsters, and you will never be thinking about leveling guides. Don't forget to buy your daily limits for cooking ingredients, you need them all the time. Super important one, find salt and buy it. Almost every dish requires salt obviously, so just buy some decent quantity of it. If you're not sure where to find salt, you can check this guide over here. Fishing may be a bit fishy at first. I failed a few times since it's not very clear from the game what is the trick here. Basically you need to look at the fish and press the button of the opposite direction, but don't hold it for too long as your stamina will be depleted and will not recover. Release it from time to time to recover and continue with the pull. Once you have a bit more amethyst, you can send them on expeditions for extra materials. Generally when you go to bed, set it for 8 hours, and when you're in session you can set it for 1 hour. The random back reward is always between 0 and 1, the only thing that increases based on time are the rest of the materials. Set amethyst recovery to 95%, especially in PvP, for most optimal situations. When it comes to Action House, I was very much disappointed. It's basically a real money store for in-game items, which is absolute trash, and it needs a whole new video on its own. The only way to buy things is to have Lucent, which is currency you buy with real money. There are some ways to obtain it in-game, but it requires extra steps, which is unnecessary and down bad. Also, there are not many things you can sell there anyway, so basically trading between players is almost impossible. Be aware the action house in the current state is pay-to-win function of the game. They will definitely change it soon, since this practice always have killed games in the past. When you see the treasure goblin in Silius Abyss, just kill it every time, it's easy good loot. There is day and night cycle in Throne and Liberty, so day is 4 hours and night is 1 hour in real time. During the night you get dynamic PvP events as well. Be careful when farming in the open dungeons at night since PvP is enabled, and any player who is not your guild or party can and will attack you. So during the night, unless you're ready for PvP, avoid those highlighted areas on the maps. Those are dynamic PvP events, which are actually very good for practicing your skills. Morphing to specific types of animals can be used as camouflage, since the same type of animal will not attack you even if they are normally hostile. Mystic portals are a bit of a funny business. Sometimes it's tricky to climb, but it's worth it. They are indicated with the massive portal icon on the map. Don't forget to use your guardian whenever you need. It has a long cooldown and you won't use it often, but it's very useful. Pay attention to your stamina because you need it for sprinting and blocking. And if you're not careful, you may rush into a fight where you can't defend yourself. Also, you need a bit of stamina to use the hook, and the hook can sometimes save your life. Alright guys, those are all the tips I got for you. I hope that they will be useful in the future, but also I hope that the devs will make a few small changes that will make our lives a bit easier. Thank you guys for watching, you can like and subscribe, and see you soon. Have fun with it.